What is going on, everybody? So for those of you who aren't familiar with my videos, I work for a company called Technicians and I do aquarium service. Now, one of the most common questions I get asked, whether it's here at the shop or when I'm out on a job, is, look, I love saltwater tanks, but they're just really expensive, and I currently have a freshwater tank, and can I convert it over to saltwater to save a little bit of money? You know, I have a hang on the back filter. It's a really simple setup. Can we do saltwater? And the answer is absolutely. You can still do saltwater tanks with hang on the back filters. It's not a problem. It's not ideal, but you can still do it. So in this video, I wanted to show you 4 different tanks that are being run on hang on the back filters. Very simple setups, very inexpensive, just to kind of prove to you guys that saltwater tanks don't have to be so difficult if you're keeping it simple. But before we get into the tanks, I just wanted to show you guys 3 different fish that I recommend for tanks with hang on the back filters that seem to do very well. 3 different distinct options that will add some color to your aquarium. So let's get started. So I always recommend clownfish for tanks that don't have great filtration, or tanks that are simply set up with hang on the back filters and things like that, for the simple fact that these clownfish right here are aquacultured, which means they are bred in captivity and they're more used to being raised in a tank. They're more used to those tank fluctuations and those tank parameters. And clownfish just overall are just one of the more hardy fish in the saltwater hobby. I mean, most people start with clownfish, or most people can keep clownfish. They're relatively easy. They're very hardy fish. So having them in a tank with a hang on the back filter, this is definitely one of my top choices right here. And they eat most food, so flake, pellets, frozen, they eat most types of food. So that's why I'm a big fan of clownfish for simply set up saltwater aquariums. Now, if you're looking for something a bit more exciting, the red firefish is a really good choice. Very hardy fish. You can find these at most local fish stores. Not a problem to find these guys. And I mean, if you're talking about saltwater tanks, everybody knows the clownfish, but to add a little bit, different look to your tank is something that's a little bit more exciting, that does not look like any type of freshwater fish out there. The red firefish is unbelievable. They got that white front half of the body with that bright red tail, and then that beautiful unicorn fin, which everybody, loves and stands out. This is a great saltwater fish for basic aquariums, very simple setups. They do very well. They're hardy. They eat about anything, frozen, pellets, all types of food as well. So, and they're affordable. Another great choice. And then there's the damsel, which you can find these at most fish stores as well. And this is just a really, really hardy fish. And I love the colors they come in, bright blue with that yellow. They come in a bunch of variety of colors, but they're relatively affordable. Very, very hardy fish. They can be a little bit aggressive to their own species and to some other fish, but they do really well in simple, basic saltwater setups, and they add a ton of color to your aquarium also. All right, first up we have this 10-gallon tank, just powered by a hang on the back filter right there. And this even has corals in it, so we have some green star polyp here on the bottom. We have some paligrandus there in the back, and then a couple of zoas here and there. This tank has been running for about 3 months only, so still going through the ugly phase, but we got a decent amount of coral. Little cabbage coral right there is doing right nice, and 2 toadstool corals. And we're getting a bit of hair algae on it. No big deal. And then there's a black widow anemone that's hiding there in the center of things. So the anemone looks great. Look how red that is. And the only thing in this aquarium is this little anglerfish. How cool to see. He blends right into the tank. And you can see right there, a little white thing, that's a little angler. That's how he attracts the little shrimp or fish or whatever to get close enough so we can snatch them up. But this is his tank. He's got the full run of the whole aquarium here. The only other thing that shares space with him is this urchin, which is cleaning up some of that hair algae. This tank is really simple. Just got the hang on the back filter, 1 power head right there in the corner, and a couple of coral, and it's doing great. And he's happy, little grumpy looking fella. All right, on to the next aquarium. This one is a very simple setup. It's just 2 clownfish, a mated pair that have been in here for a long time. But if you take a quick glance at the aquarium, you can see that purple stuff on the rock. That is coralline algae. That's a sign of a well-established, mature aquarium that's got, that's well balanced. This tank's been up for years, and you can tell by the way the coralline algae is thick there. There's also starfish and some conchs in here and stuff like that, but nothing too crazy. Now, this is a 40-gallon breeder that you find at most pet stores. Nothing, you know, that you couldn't find at most of your chain pet stores. It's got a CChem title filter on the back, which I highly recommend. Great filter. It's got good flow rate. Plenty of area back there for media and biomedia and things like that. And yeah, it's really simply put together, and then just some, I don't even know what kind of LED light that is, but it's enough to grow the coralline algae. But this tank is doing really well, and you can tell that just by looking at how clean the rocks are and how well that coralline algae is growing. All right, on to another tank. This one has clownfish in it as well. We got a little more life in here. We got a coral banded shrimp and a firefish, which, like I said before, I think is a good addition to simple aquariums. And you know what? So are coral banded shrimp. Those are actually pretty cool too. It's got a background on it, so it makes it look bigger than it is, but it's a skinnier. It's not as, the aquarium's not that deep, but that background there makes it look a little bit deeper and like there's a little bit more going on. This tank now doesn't have the coralline algae. Oh, look, we have an engineer goby down here. I was not expecting that, but he's dug himself a little burrow there. So that's kind of cool, cool little addition. This hang on the back filter isn't as nice as the CChem one. It's a little bit older, but this tank, it's got a little power head on the side. But yeah, this is an Aquarium, I think. Still a really good filter, still does the job. But again, all life in this tank is doing really well. The clownfish, the firefish, and the coral banded. And none of these tanks are saltwater tanks. If you look at the stand here and look at the whole setup, this is a freshwater setup. This was not meant to be salt, but it has been converted to salt, and it's able to support itself. Now, I know we're getting a bit repetitive here, but moving on to the next tank is another aquarium that has clownfish. This time it has 3 different clownfish, which you don't see more than 2 clownfish in tanks usually. And we have a little blue damsel in there. Now look at the coralline algae growth on this hang in the back filter. That's incredible. So another well-established aquarium. All 3 of these are in schools. They're spread out between 3 different schools, so they all have similar setups. But this one's actually able to support a coral. That's a blue mushroom coral that's there. We have a power head, which I turned off down there, which is collecting coralline algae. I'm adding a starfish and a conch to this tank as well. And then you can see the background there is that fake coral background. Let me just move this over here. And we have another hang on the back filter here. This is another CChem title hang on the back filter. It's also got air line running through there to add a little more oxygen through the tank. So that's interesting. But yeah, again, another tank that you would see at a chain pet store that you could easily pick up, and it's converted to salt. All 3 tanks are healthy. All 3 tanks of fish are doing great. And lastly, another hang on the back filter tank that I want to share with you guys, a seahorse tank with lots of coral in it. There are 6 seahorses in this aquarium. Now this tank's getting an upgrade, but it's been running off a hang on the back filter for a while now, and everything is doing great. So just shows you that it's not just fish you can keep, but seahorses do pretty well with hang on the back filters also. And yeah, this tank's got corals and everything. All right, so there you have it. All those tanks are healthy. All the fish are healthy. They've all been up for multiple years. They're all, successful tanks. Now, are hang on the back filters what I would recommend long term? Absolutely not. But if you're just getting into the hobby, or if you have a freshwater tank and you want to convert to saltwater, you definitely can do it. And you can it's a good way to get introduced to saltwater. It's a good way to get introduced to how saltwater tanks work. It absolutely can be done. All right, so I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, or if you have any questions, just put it down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.